Okay, Parashat Toldot. Parashat Toldot deals with the story of the birth of Yaakov and Esav and the struggle between them. And in this parasha, Esav sells his the rights for the firstborn, and Rivka and Yaakov really collaborate together to, we'll see, cheat Yitzchak and to really take away the rights for the firstborn of Esav. And at the end of the parasha, Yitzchak sends Yaakov to Padan Aram to find him a wife, not before he gives Yaakov the blessing of Avraham Avinu to inherit the land, and so on and so forth. In other words, by him doing that, we know, he's telling us that Yitzchak knows that Yaakov is the one who's going to continue that lineage right after him. As it says, ויקרא יצחק אל יעקב ויברך אותו וכל שקה יברך אותך ויברך וירבך והיית לקהל עמים, and so on and so on and so forth. And then he says, וייתן לך את ברכת אברהם, he will give the blessing of Abraham to you, לך ולזרעך איתך, לרשתך את ארץ מגוריך אשר נתן אלוקים לאברהם. The land which God gave Abraham, and it goes after Yaakov, it doesn't go after anybody else. And that, in a way, takes all the claim for anybody else to the land besides the Jews. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow, right? In this case, we became the indigenous people of the land. End of the story. Tell everybody else they can move to Saudi Arabia if you want. Comes the Zohar. And the Zohar says and teaches us that you cannot read and deal with those psukim at what we call at face value. And this story is really a great secret in what we call avodah ruchanit, in your spiritual growth and spiritual development that you need to do yourself. Just like lehavdil, you would go to the gym every single day to develop the muscles so they won't, crumble and they support your whole entire skeleton. So is a person needs to do daily work and daily maintenance in his spirituality, so his spiritual skeleton would not crumble and fall. You don't want to get spiritual osteoporosis, if you know what I mean, when you get them, right? So the Zohar says that there are two forces that really live together inside each and every man. We have the body and we have the soul. And Esav represents the awareness of the body, which is really, in a way, what we call selfishness. We call it ego, we call it materialistic tendencies and so on. And Yaakov is the awareness of the neshama. That urge of every human being, to connect to something spiritual. You can live life without any kind of a need for spirituality, and if you do, you're becoming a monster. You become a monster, and that's something very important. So to connect to giving, and even more so, that part inside of us that strive for meaning, that it would make sense to us, that it's meaningful to us, something that we do that it's meaningful, which is very important. In our world, the world that we live in, so the firstborn rights is given to the body. The body in our world comes before the soul. As the Mekubalim says, Kadma haklipa lapri. The klipa, the husk, comes on the outside. Before to get to the fruit, you have to get to the husk. So that's the way it is, right? And not only that, when we have the fruit grows, first is the husk, and then the fruit grows inside of it this way. So the klipa, the husk, is there beforehand, and in other words, the body is the vessel, is the klipa, in which the neshama, the soul, develops inside. But it has to develop. And that klipa really guards us, and so on and so forth. That's what the body does. And you see that most of when it comes to educating a child in his first years, is really to try to help him overcome that quote-unquote Esav that lives within him. If you are over there, we have Sigmund Freud Jr. He can tell you about the different stages of child development. I hope, if not, you failed. Just in terms of the awareness of the child for himself. The child needs this to survive, but we expect the person, as he grows older, to be able to understand that there are other things besides himself, and that's most of the problems that we have in today's generation, in today's day and age, as they say, is that we became captured kids. We can grow from that selfishness and thinking that the world is revolve ourselves to the point that we come first. Somebody puts here, Ari, by his great kindness, make chulent. Somebody comes in, he will take the chulent, first in, without asking somebody else that he wants, without thinking maybe somebody else can come. So he's going to take like 4, 5, 6 scoops. Somebody else will not come. A person like this shows you see from it, he's still stuck within a certain age of selfishness. Maybe his body is developed, but the neshama inside is not. So that's what we do. That's the first years of a child. That's what we try to do to help him overcome that Esav that lives. In other words, the urges, the wills, and the kid throws tantrums all the time. They want it, and they want it now. That's what they want. They want it now. They don't want to wait. The concept of wait does not exist by kids. There's no such thing. I want it. Why do I have to wait until my birthday? I want it now. So you also need, which also could give us an indicator in terms of how we are spiritually, in terms of, are we willing to wait for things? For example, are you willing to budget? Let's say you want something. Let's say you want, I don't know what the kids want today. When I was a child, I wanted a basketball, right? My father did not have money to buy me a basketball. Did it? Both my parents worked hard. I did not have money, they didn't have money to buy a basketball. So I said, okay, how much is a basketball? I went in, the price was astronomical. But I saved it, and I saved it, and I saved it, and I saved it. For a year, I saved every, Chanukah gelt they gave me, every Purim get they gave me, everything I saved. And then after a year, I was very, very, very happy. I was extremely proud. I went in and I bought myself a basketball. Now you tell me, what's the big deal? Well, I felt good. I saved money, and I was very proud of it. And I'll tell you that I saved this basketball. Even I played with it so much, it was already bald like Kojak's head. It was smooth. It was smooth. I saved it until I was like 25. And then one day I said, the heck with it, I'm throwing it away. I bought it when I was 12. It was the basketball that was important. It was what behind it. So, where are you holding spiritually? You have immediate gratification. I want it now, I want it now. It means that, and I'm going to tell you something else, regarding the concept of Mashiach. Who does not want Mashiach to come? Everybody wants Mashiach to come. But the fact that I want it now, shows me an indication that you're not spiritually ready for it. You're not ready for it. I want Mashiach. When Hashem wants to send it, He will send it. Hopefully it will be in our time. Amen, guys. Thank you. Amen. Very nice. And if not, that's Kadosh Baruch Hu's cheshbon. It's not mine. That should be the attitude. Not we want Mashiach now. No, you gotta wait. It means you spiritually immature. And if Mashiach will come when you're spiritually immature, you're gonna blow it. Not going to happen. Tell this to all the chavres from over there. Yeah. So, and then we teach the child and so on and so forth until the neshama of gadlut enters into him, and that's bar or bat mitzvah. Is eligible to do mitzvot until 13 or 12. We educated him, and then it's. From 13 and on, and that's why you might understand why the Gemara says, that Mishamayim, they don't give you punishment between 13 and 20. Because from 0 to 13, we taught you how to put put everything on hold, comes now from 13 and 20 is we're teaching you, okay, so now that we become aware of the neshama, now you need to learn how the neshama would rule the body, would rule and guide the body. And that's a tremendous, what I'm telling you now sounds like, okay, I heard it a million times, so believe me, what I'm telling you now is a tremendous, tremendous thing. If you're just able to sit down and contemplate and think about this, it could literally change your life, if you understand what's going on here. And when Esav comes back from hunting in the field, right? He took with his Remington 700, 762 with a nice telescope on top. He came back from hunting over there. That is an analogy for our ongoing chase after materialistic needs and urges. And how did he come from there? He's tired, he's exhausted, he is wiped out. In other words, that chase led you nowhere. Idle. And the neshama, right, the neshama, which is Yaakov, is preparing him a bowl of what? Lentils. No, lentils, red Turkish lentils. Yeah, that's where the red ones today come mainly from Turkey. If you look at it, no, the Greece doesn't grow anything. They just grow hashish. I don't know what they grow over there in Greece. But drink ouzo and bring Syrians in. But either from Turkey or from Canada, those red lentils, and that's what they nazid adashim. And he says, "Vayazed Yaakov nezid, vayavo Esav bin Sadeh v'hu ayef." So the Zohar said, nezid. Look at the words. The Zohar loves to play with the words. Nezid l'mishum lehazid. Lehazid, he was already thinking. He was already planning how to make all kind of like schemes in order to take away from the body the right for firstborn. In other words, it will teach you also how you have to go after the body. If you want you to become more spiritual, you can't just go straight. You're not going to go to India, even though there is COVID there. You're not going to go to India and then buy sandalwood and sing Hare Krishna all day long. That's not going to happen. You need to make plans. You need to trick yourself out. You need to make the body work for the neshama, not the neshama work for the body. And it's the story of the two brothers, but it's much more than that. And in our world, we really are oppressed to the needs of the body and his desire of the body, and whether it's paying rent or mortgage or bills or food or sex or honor or glory and fame and so on and so on and so forth. These are all needs of the body. The body needs that. And everybody tells you all the time, if you're an Am Haaretz, you would not say, Imen Kemach and Torah, right? Imen Kemach and Torah. But if you're a Ben Torah, you would say Imen Torah and Kemach. It's the same words, but it's a world apart how you put them in. It's a world apart. The problem is that the body without a soul is dead. I don't know if any of you ever seen, and you should not, but if you ever seen a dead person, somebody that is really close to you, let me tell you, you would say, yeah, the features are the same features. It's not the same person. A dead person looks different than is alive. Something is missing. That something is the neshama. It's missing. It's not the same thing. You say, oh, yeah, it looks like him. Yeah, that's him. But it looks different. The neshama is out. The neshama is out. That neshama comes. The neshama comes when you, do certain things. You can get even the neshama within you. You get a booster if you do more mitzvot or chas v'shalom. You get discharge. If you get something doing averot. And when a ger goes to a convert, goes to the mikveh, when he comes out from the mikveh, he gets a special neshama. Face changes, the body changes. That's why those people who are very sensitive and have those ability to see, they can tell by your face really who you are or what have you done. They'll be able to tell you that. You don't need to say much. Your face reflects. If there is light, They're going to say he's a righteous person. And if, excuse me, if there's no light, he's not righteous. You could tell this right away. So, without a house, if you look at this way, a house without neshama, even a house without neshama, what is a house? It's a pile up of shit rocks and 2x4s and walls and furniture put in like this and so on and so forth. And but it's really nothing. That's why you enter a place. If it's a place that there's Torah, whether it's a shul or a house, or a place that is Torah, you already feel different there. A career without a purpose is nothing. It's a waste of time. Anything like that. And a career without any spirituality really will grind you, would increase your anxiety, will make you miserable, and that's what we're dealing with all the time. Now, if you're experiencing any of the things that I said, or along the line the things that I said, well, I'm just trying to help you to figure out what's wrong. That's why I don't consider myself to be at that level, but a rabbi should really be a spiritual doctor. And I do believe that if you would not go to a fake doctor for your body ailment, you should not go to a fake rabbi for your spiritual ailment as well. So there is a big struggle that's going on here. There's a huge struggle that's going on. And that struggle, by the way, is not just between Esav and Yaakov. It's also between who? Rivka and Yitzchak. It's between Rivka and Yitzchak. Which one of the sons would really merit that big bracha? And that struggle started years before what we have in this parasha here. Why? Because it says, Ve'av Yitzchak et Esav ki tzayid befiv. Tzayid, it brings something. Ve'rivka ohevet et Yaakov. And she loves Yaakov. She loves Yaakov from different reasons. It doesn't say why, but she loves Yaakov. He loves Yitzchak because there's something. There's tzayid. It brings whatever tzayid means in that case. Not just hunting, could be other things. So Rivka, for many reasons, Rivka chooses not to have this fight straight ahead, face to face, as they say. She doesn't confront Yitzchak. She doesn't argue with him. She tricks him. She leads Yaakov to dress up like Esav and to bring him tzayid, to bring him food in order for him to bless him. Now that is called ha'arama. Ha'arama, we have a concept like this also in halacha.
Trickery?
Now, what is the word ha'arama? Ha'arama could be trickery, right?
Naked, yeah.
Huh? Naked? No, that's beautiful. Guys, you're learning. Arum, it will be the same letters. But ha'arama, mazal ha'amir. Together, that's right. Together. I'm gathering things in order to do a certain trickery. I'm picking up my tools and my weapons. I don't go right away and pluck them and go like this, right? This is the process that happens in the field. You harvest, you pull it together. Mishum Omer, right? Omer. It's all play around with this world, with his words, and they're really, really wonderful. So she leads Yaakov to dress up like Esav and to bring him. And we said that Arama has 4 components in it. Now, the first one, what happened exactly? The first one, Yaakov presents himself by words as Esav. The second one, Yaakov wears the clothing of Esav. The third one, Yaakov wears goat skins on his hands and on his neck. Right? He was a hairy guy. To look like Esav, which was very hairy. The fourth one, Yaakov brings Yitzchak all kind of delights that are made out of goats in order to taste like game meat. When you goat is very intense, but I don't know, we'll get to this in a second. But it tastes a little different than venison, but they both kind of gamey. So Okay, so regarding the first one that we says, Yitzchak is a little skeptic, right? And what does he say? Hakol kol Yaakov. By the way, I forgot. Happy Rosh Chodesh. 25 days to Hanukkah. Mm-hmm. A roof rack will be nice, by the way. You don't have a car, I'll buy you a roof rack. You don't have a car for it. Right, Jeremy? Or pat. Right? So the sound, the expression, and so on and so forth. However, he's still convinced that it's Esav. So Chachamim brought it up a little wider, and they says that even the text of the words that Yaakov uses matches the vocabulary or the tone that Esav would use. However, we know that he spoke a little different, not like Esav. And yet, he says, Hayoil na'avim, with my father one. It says, hey, I brought you some meat, let's go eat, right? He said it in a certain way, but still, for whatever reason, Yitzchak falls for that. The second component, which is also tremendously successful, considering the fact that Yitzchak is blind, is he doesn't see, but he smells very well, and he smells the clothing of Esav. And he says, it smells like a field. I don't know if in America, it's very sad that you can't hang laundry outside. You're really missing out, especially today. In those days, like we have today, crisp air. I can't wait till tonight is going to be in the 30s. Anybody's up to a fire pit with bourbon? You minor, stay out of it. Grow up. Hang your clothes outside. Wash your clothes. Dry your clothes. But hang them outside. It's going to smell like heaven. And that's exactly, it smells different. In the tents, a little smell, it smells like smoke. Rivka is frying chicken over there. I don't know what she's doing. Onions, whatever she's doing. It always smells like food. Outside, it smells good. Smells good. So that was good. Okay, we'll give him a check. That was successful. The third component of this trickery is also a little bizarre. Why is it bizarre? Because even a blind man, a blind person, should be able to tell the difference between the hands of a hairy man to a person who covers his hands with goat skin. I mean, it feels different. To us, it would feel different. To a blind man, even more so. I mean, they're more sensitive. So, and the fourth one, which is also strange, because even a blind person should be able to distinguish between goat meat, let's say, to venison. They're different. If I'm going to close your eyes, blindfold you, and I'm going to give you a piece of barbecued lamb and a piece of barbecued beef, will you be able to tell the difference?
Yeah. No.
Who said no? Go back to Bukhari school. You should be able to tell that with your eyes closed. What do you mean? You can't tell the difference between lamb and beef?
Of course you can.
Of course you can. Tastes different, smells different. It can be. I'm going to tell your father you can't tell the difference between the two. It's not good. You failed. It tastes completely different. The taste of the meat, of the flesh is different. Not the fat around it that oozes like this. The meat tastes different. Animals smell. Goats smell different. Venison smell different. I ate venison a few times. They used to shecht it upstate New York. I tell the truth, I'm very sensitive to meat. I couldn't eat it. My kids loved it. I couldn't eat it. It was just too gamey for me. That's why I don't like turkey either. Don't like turkey. If I would have to eat meat, give me lamb on the barbecue, then turkey, I don't care who made it. Even Pocahontas made it. I'm not going to eat it. Yeah, say hello, by the way. Anyway, so how this trickery had happened? How did it exactly? What happened here? So we always look at it like this: that what's the name? Rivka and Yaakov were call it partners in crime, and they scheme for it to work, and they made it work. Well, I want to introduce to you something, a new concept. There was a third partner. No. It's so interesting that you said Hashem. Well, we wait just a second if you can. Oh, well, we're going to be a little late today, but who cares? No. Anybody wants to try another one?
Yitzchak.
Yitzchak. Yitzchak was also part of that. And Yitzchak in this case would represent us. This is not just a story, and I'm not here, what I'm about to tell you now, this is not about picking out about, say, Chaz v'Shalom, something wrong about Yitzchak or Rivka or Yaakov or anyone. This is just trying to analyze what happened then to our lives. So the third person is Yitzchak. So you had like this. Rivka was the mind, the mastermind. Yaakov was the executor, he executed. So therefore what Yitzchak was? Yitzchak not only was the victim of this trickery, but was also a partner of this trickery. How is this possible? In existential psychology or existential philosophy, which is one of the fields that I like, we call something like this self-deceiving, and which is a fascinating phenomenon. I would encourage you to look into that. And it's something that you really need to take a good look at, because by itself it could be a tremendous instrument to understand not only what happens in the Parashat itself, but also what is happening within us. There is a book, I don't know the name of it in English, but I'm sure it's in English. It was written by Dan Ariely, and I think it's like something about lying to yourself or lying to ourselves and so on and so forth. I forgot that I have the book in Hebrew, but fantastic book. I don't know the name of it in English. I'm sure they have it in English. He's very popular, very smart guy. And I said, wow, man, the guy who wrote the book that I've been saying all the time. And that's what exactly happens here. So when we talk about this case here, so the call it classic philosophy or whatever it is, established as the core of it, of everything is based on what they call the truth, right? The truth. And the truth is a certain balance between awareness and reality. Between what you're aware of and between what reality is. So if, for example, I would say that today is day, and really in reality, really the sun is shining, so therefore, that is the sentence that I said is a truthful sentence, and so on and so forth. But if I say, oh, the sun is shining out, and it's really night, so my sentence or my statement is really false, and in this mold, in this I call it mold or form, the essence is in the reality, the fact that right now it's night. And the me and my awareness is trying to really reflect on it. I'm trying to change it. And if I'll be a good demagogue, I will try even to persuade you, to change you, and so on and so forth. And by the way, this is what's happening today. This happened today. That's how media works, by the way. That's how the media works. And don't blame the media for you becoming stupid. You are just as guilty of that. You are just as guilty as the media. Sadiq, we might be a little bit late if you don't mind. All right. So together with the revolution that Immanuel Kant, the famous philosopher, came, he really challenged this ability of our awareness to really perceive reality as it really is. Because everybody has gone through different things throughout their lives, and therefore they must see things differently. And that's a tremendous thing that he made, because it's impossible to view reality the way it is. And the emphasis, therefore, goes into the awareness does not reflect reality as it is, but rather builds and constructs a new reality based on our experiences and so on and so forth. And as a result of that, the concept of what we call the ultimate truth becomes really hollow and empty. Because we could never reach, according to that, the real truth. And because it was pushed away, so there's a new expression that pushes, instead of being the truth, we use the word being authentic. So being authentic is really, when we say something, we examine the matching of not between between I and reality, but rather between me and myself. Between me and myself, not between me and the reality. If there is a fitting and there's synchronicity, so therefore a person lives his life in a truthful way, or should we say in an authentic way, and if not, he lives in a false or in a dissidence, and so on and so forth. So that state that we are at, or we call it self-deceiving, is really a state of lying, and a place that is cold, and a place that is not warm for other people, because it's basically everything is built about my reality, the way that I see the world, rather than seeing the way the world is. You want an example? I'll give you an example. Let's talk about Jews for a change, huh? Well, most people, including many Jews, taught or created a reality that Jews are bad. But that's not the case, because if you look at what Jews had contributed to humanity, they contribute a lot, probably more than any other nation or group of people.
That's what scares them.
Well, that's what you say. But who said that they're scared at all? You are creating an illusion that they are chasing me because they're afraid of me. They're not afraid of you. So, you see, so where are we living here? What state are we actually being here? Now, that so that situation, what we call quite like virtual reality. You know, needless to say here about some people's experience in virtual reality, right? It was quite, especially in Montreal, it was quite funny. But that state that we have it in does not really fit the internal me of who I am internally, and that creates in a way a certain paradox. And the paradox is, how is it possible that I'm going to be cheating myself? I'm going to deceive myself? Because you need to understand that process of ha'arama, of making a trickery, is not really a conscious thing that you do. Subconsciously, you lead yourself to do this thing. And if I am, for example, if I am aware to that I'm saying that I am as rich as, as Bill Gates, where Lemaise I'm not as rich as Chaz v'Shalom, could be even poor, I am aware of this dissonance. I'm aware of this gap. So in this case, I cannot fool myself and tell myself, because I know the truth. You don't sleep in a refrigerator box. So what is that mechanism that allows this self-deceiving happen, or cause Yitzchak to believe that Esav is standing in front of him, even though he knew that the Kol Yaakov. What was it that made Yitzchak realize that he's touching actually, that persuaded himself that he's touching a hairy person, not skin goat, so he's eating deer or venison instead of eating goat? What was it? So there is an expression, it's called annihilation anxiety. So that annihilations, when you feel that, and again, look it up in Wikipedia, it's really amazing. So, that's the process that happens here. Yitzchak loves Esav. He wants to give him the bracha. Why? How does he do so? By the fact that he contributes himself to that deceiving. He did himself in such a way, he annihilated himself to such a way that he gave the bracha at the end to Yaakov and not to Esav. So how does it happen? So if you look at psychoanalysis, it solved that paradox by the fact that it placed the man that is constructed from two components, as we said before: awareness, conscience, and subconscious. Awareness and unaware. And from now on, those two players inside of you play in your mind, in your head, like two players. Aware of something, not aware of something. Aware of something, not aware of something. One can trick the other. So the aware, whatever time you're aware, it affects your unaware part, or your subconscious appears, the conscious, and vice versa. And you use many times processes of denial and pushing to the back, and all these psychological aspects, whether it's throw some. Come on, psychologist, yalla. What?
Like what?
Like denial, like displacement, right? Who's going to a PhD program? You or me? Right? All these psychological processes are being put in place to the fact that you even deny something that happened to you. You would say, no, it didn't happen. And if it happened, it wasn't that bad. Because you don't want to deal it. So you're pushing things, the brain, in order to maintain that survival, so you won't explode, and that would put you into danger. You say it didn't happen. It happened by victims of abuse, of rape, and so on and so forth, many times, or So and until it goes away, and sometimes there is a warning, and you wonder. He says, how is this person made the same mistake again? Because you neglected to acknowledge that warning. But you say, oh no, it's not. Oh no, it's not. Oh no, it's not. Oh no, it's not. And that's what happens. So according to that model, Yitzchak is using the external part of his life, which is loving Esav and wanting to give him a bracha. And in the inner layer that he knew that Rivka was right. He knew that Yaakov is more fit to carry over the bracha of Abraham. So here in this case, the chitzoni, the external, overpower the internal, because you have tzayid, and that's what the Torah tells us. That self-oppression or denial that made Yitzchak basically disregard any warning signs, right? That the call is Kol Yaakov and so on and so forth, as we said. Yitzchak knew that something is not good. Akol Kol Yaakov, Ayadayim Yedei Esav. So Akol Kol Yaakov was the inside voice. Ayadayim Yedei Esav, it's the rationale that he used in order not to deal with the fact that Yaakov is standing in front of him. He didn't want to deal with the fear that he had from Esav, that what would happen from the consequences. So he chose conveniently to disregard that and then just continue on and give him actually Yaakov. Yitzchak knew that it was Yaakov. Now, we do the same thing. We have all the warning signs of things are going wrong. Things do not go wrong all of a sudden. Everything in this world is a process. And we choose to ignore all the processes, all the warning signs, until we hit the wall, and then it's too late. Cognitive dissonance. That's my famous thing. Very good. I say you listen to me from time to time. Cognitive dissonance. Exactly it. So, regardless of things that are not working, this is not working, there are cracks and there are cracks and there are cracks, he continued to ignore it and push and push and push and push and push until it happens. Now, when you said trick God, right? That was a very interesting thing that you said. Chachamim, we do this concept of ha'arama in halacha as well. We all know, for example, many examples, that a person has to bring Maaser Sheni to Yerushalayim. Right? You have to bring Maaser Sheni, the fruit of Maaser Sheni, and you have to eat it in Yerushalayim. And this is one of the halachot that really established Jerusalem in the heart of the people, is the fact that we have to go and bring Maaser Sheni over there. However, if it's very difficult for him to bring Maaser Sheni to Yerushalayim, he could redeem them with money, but then he might pay a penalty. If he does that, he might pay a penalty, and he needs to eat a chamishit, and 20% on the value of the fruit. So if the fruit cost him, let's say $100, so if you choose to redeem it, you choose not to go to Yerushalayim, and not to beautify the markets of Jerusalem with the fruits that you bring there with the abundance and so on and so forth, guess what, buddy? You're going to pay 20% more. The same thing like this. You come late for yeshiva, you got to buy breakfast. That's the way it is. You like that, huh? If you come on time to yeshiva, you get a olam haba, because you didn't miss on Torah. You're learning and steigering the Heilige Torah. You like that, huh? And if that doesn't help, we'll get the whip out. Anyway, so you have to pay a fifth, right? So, however, if a stranger buys the fruit of Maaser Sheni, there's no need to add the 20%. So on that, the Mishnah says in Mishnah Maaser Sheni Perek Daled. Mishnah Daled. It says, Ma'arimim al Maaser Sheni, we do Hamara al Maaser Sheni, Keitzad, how? Omer Adam lebeno ubito agdolim, a person tells his older son or daughter, to his servants or to his maid and so on, Jewish said, Hilech ma'ot elu, here, take this money, and v'deh lecha Maaser Sheni, and redeem Maaser Sheni with those things. So therefore, they don't need to pay the penalty, but in a way they go like in a strange person, but in a way they are an extension of the hand of the father. So, of course, the question still stays in place. How is halacha allowed us and even encourage us to do such a thing? And I don't know if I have an answer for that, or there is an answer for that. However, let's pay attention to who we actually doing this trickery. When we do this trickery, we don't need a trickery on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You don't cheat God. You can't. This trickery does not happen. And not on halacha. And not on myself. But I do it on Maaser Sheni. I do the harama on the Maaser Sheni. So a person himself, by itself, is basically, he puts himself in parentheses, right? And he emphasized the object on the Maaser Sheni. So it's the Maaser Sheni. And he does the harama, and he is aware of his trickery. And he keeps this stature of being, which is really irony. But according to that, Yitzchak also catches this harama. But he changed the focus from the bracha from the trickery. He changes the focus on the bracha. He says, okay, I know they tricked me, but I'm disregarding. I'm focusing on the bracha. And by doing so, there is a way to maneuvering and so on. And why does Yitzchak needs room for maneuver? Because he decided in a clear mind, he made a clear choice to give Rivka the chance to run the show. And to guide him, basically, to give the bracha from, instead of to Esav, to Yaakov. And this is all really, it's a family dialogue that they're going on. And it really talks about the love that Yitzchak has from his childhood and until now. And Rivka also has it like this. And Rivka noticed that that's what he's going to do. And then from the very beginning, she decided to do that. And that's how it happened. And when we do that, and that's what we need to understand. We do this all the time. We need to understand that there's two parts that are fighting inside of us. Is the physical and the spiritual. And we need to do whatever trick we can in the power. We need to let the neshama guide our actions, not the body guide the actions. We must let the neshama guide our actions. because the neshama knows what's right for us. The neshama knows what ticket it needs to acquire to bring it back to where it came from, not to be lost. If you let the body is going to one place, is going to the ground. The neshama goes back to Shamayim. You want to go back to Shamayim, or you want to stay down here? If you want to go up back there to Olam Haba, you let the neshama guide you in how you do so. You're doing so by trickery, by creating space to maneuver, and you need to do it like that. If not, the body will lead you to one place, would lead you down to the bottom. The battle between Esav and Yaakov is the battle between our body and our neshama. If you want to win, you got to make sure that first of all you're aware of your neshama. You need to be aware what you need, what the body needs as well. But the neshama becomes number one. Let the neshama guide you. Let the Yetzer Tov guide you. Become more spiritual and invest in that. You'll get the way back home. You won't be lost. Shabbat Shalom and Rosh Chodesh Tov.